Hey guys, it's Duncan over at Strathcom Media. Today and every day, we want to help you guys kick ass and be better online. And we get a lot of questions about social media. What should I be doing? How should I be doing it? So we thought we would bring in one of the experts on social media in the Canadian automotive industry. Please welcome Ryan Holtz to Strathcom. A little bit about Ryan. He used to work in the dealership world, so he has been there, he has done that. He's not just some guy that sits there and thinks of things in the shower. He has real experience working in a dealership. Check out his site at ryanholtz.ca. He's been featured all over the place in the US and in Canada, been published all over the place. So we're really excited to have Ryan Holtz here, and thanks for coming out, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Truly a delight. Strathcom Media, great company. Websites are definitely on the up and up, and you guys are doing innovative things, so thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. The first question we get all the time, and you know, it is a little general, but the first thing is, you know, dealers are always asking me, why should I be on social media?
I think social media, you know, and I always say this is, you know, take out the words, you know, social and media. It's really just another tool to communicate. Marketing 101 says that, hey, if I have a consumer and he's driving down road A, I need to figure out how to rearrange my product so that I can meet him there. Social media is one of those platforms that gives you kind of another hook in the water, so to speak. And not only that, it's much more interactive. You know, the old school days where, you know, you had like the movie Glengarry Glen Ross, where you were buying, you know, stone cold leads and you had to go out and you didn't even know anything about the person. I mean, those days are over. You literally can interact with past, present, and future customers via Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. And not only that, it's scalable. So you can say at the end of the month, hey, this is how many people I've talked to. This is where they're located. This is their age range. I mean, in marketing, these kind of statistics, they tell a story. And allows you to be a little bit better on your execution. Okay,
excellent. I think, yeah, the engagement part, absolutely. I like the Glengarry Glen Ross reference. Definitely, the world has changed. But does this really sell cars? And I know, can you take us maybe through some of your real life in-dealer experience? Because that's also the question we get. Does this actually sell cars?
Well, it's funny. I mean, does anything really sell cars is what I always say. Does print sell cars? Does website sell cars? Does radio sell cars? At the end of the day, I mean, say if I was a customer and I come to your Twitter page and I say, hey, actually just the other day at one of the dealers, they said, customer actually tweeted to them saying they came into their parking lot. Now here in Edmonton, Alberta, we get snow, as we know, right?
Absolutely.
And the Bobcat was in there, so no customers could enter. So the lot attendant had said, hey, you know, you need to leave, we got a Bobcat here. Customer, now 3-4 days later, just remember, 3-4 days later, said, you lost the sale. Because I couldn't even access your parking lot. Now that customer, depending on what his following is, has put a message like that. That's what I would call a huge hot red message. Back in the day, customer walked away upset. He was just upset. Now you actually get a chance to moderate the conversation and actually turn that negative into a positive. Not only that, you get to do it on stage in front of everybody. So depending on how you would, you know, respond to that particular customer, not only could you maybe regain his sale, but what about all his other friends and tweets and all that stuff, people following him, seeing your dealership react to that? So does social media really sell cars?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. I think word of mouth in the digital age, it's not one-to-one. You know, it's now one-to-many when it comes to word of mouth, and you can have that impact. Kind of expanding on that, how does a dealer accurately measure their social media efforts? I mean, what is, you know, the question we get, what's the ROI? Where's the return on investment for my social media campaign?
I mean, there's various ways. If we're talking, say, you know, BDC or internet department, I mean, everybody, you know, your website, you're looking at your analytics on the back end. How many visitors, you know, what's the bounce rate? How many people are coming to your site? Where are they coming from? How many link backs? All that good stuff. The way I like to do it on paper is I say, okay, say we've opened up a Twitter and a Facebook account. Okay, we are day one, beginning of the month. We all know in dealer land, it's all about the month. It's almost like split personality disorder. We had a great month, but now we're on the first day of the new month. Oh my God, right? And that's how dealerships and GMs and dealer principals and sales managers really think. But you can look at your analytics and say, hey, we've been doing this Twitter thing, this Facebook thing for 2-3 months. Have we got any more traffic from that, right? So that's a way to say, because I say, hey, what if you got 10% extra traffic to your internet department? Now, maybe your leads have increased by 10%. Maybe that little chat box that you got on there from whatever provider you choose, you got more leads coming in there. So, you know, I think that would definitely increase the bottom line and kind of say, hey, here's the ROI. The truth about Twitter and Facebook is you don't really have to spend a lot of money on it. You just it takes more of a human time, you know. So if you're gonna hire somebody or you're gonna have somebody at the dealership who is a champion of it, you know, you got to look at kind of where you're at and how you want to really tackle it. Sales managers do not do social media. You know, don't have your sales manager, don't have your daughter, don't have, you know, like just somebody doing it because they're sitting there. Social media requires somebody who knows what the heck they're talking about and who can tell a story. And everything I say comes down to storytelling. Storytelling and marketing is one and the same.
Absolutely, and a couple great points. If you're not in Google Analytics tracking this stuff, absolutely should start. And I get the impression, you know, have someone at the dealership doing it who wants to do it, who has the time, who has the capacity
100%
to do it. Okay, well, we've talked a lot about the why, maybe a little bit about the how now. One question that we get all the time, again, is how can I get more likes? How can I get more followers, you know, on the, you know, the various networks like Facebook and Twitter?
That's one of the most popular questions, and it's actually, quite frankly, the least irrelevant. Who cares about how many followers? Who cares about how many fans, likes, pins, retweets? At the end of the day, say, you know, Duncan and I are great friends, and I had 100 friends on my cell phone, and nobody talked to me. So I got 100 names on my cell phone. That looks awesome, great, awesome, but nobody talks to me. So with those 100 names, I mean, I don't have any kind of relationship established with them. I don't have anything established with them. So where I'm going with this is, it's all about the engagement. I'd rather have 100 solid, good friends and or fans or followers or whoever, but constantly, consistently talking with them, having them share my stuff, having them talk with me talking with them. Engagement in social media is the key word. If you have a high engagement, it means that you have activity, it means that you're talking. Engagement is exactly the same thing as if I was customer A and I walk into a showroom, my salesperson has now approached you and talking to you, starting to do the qualifying. That's called engagement. But if your salesperson was to sit in his office and not ever talk to the customer, how the heck would a sale ever get made? So think of social media like your online showroom.
That's a great point. I guess if you have 100 people on the lot, but no one's engaging them, no one's talking to them, it doesn't really matter how many people are there. It's all about engagement.
100%.
Taking engagement then to the next level, what are some of the things people should be posting about, should be tweeting about? How should they go about it? How often should they go about it? Can you share some examples that you might have used when you were in the dealership, and what maybe some of the feedback you got was for that?
One example was, you know, in Twitter, you can set up your parameters, something which is called keywording. And you could say, having a bad day, YEG, hashtag, which is the airport code for Edmonton. A lot of people don't know what the heck these hashtags and all that's doing. Facebook now is starting to incorporate it, but on Twitter, you could say, having a bad day, YEG. So then you could go to the stream, see everybody in your local market who says that, hey, I'm having a bad day. You could tweet to them a picture of a vehicle, you could tweet to them a picture of a funny joke. Because think about it, if I was somebody having a bad day and I had this dealership that was like, hey, Ryan, you know, here's a picture of some socks, or, you know, I'm like, wow, they actually kind of care about me. Like, that's pretty cool. Example, you know, I mean, a piece of content like that is huge, and you're showing the customer that you're not just all about the car and the sale, you're actually caring about them. And to me, that's where relationships start. I mean, marketing has gotten really hard. You know, the days of just buying up ad space and doing all this and expecting everybody to come in are over. People and consumers have a, you know, high expectation, and they say, hey, you know, if you're going to market to me, you need to market to me on my terms, when I want it and how I want it. So content is king. Context, though, is now God. Literally.
Good way to put it.
Because if you're putting content out there, great, but say now somebody says, hey man, I like your socks, this is awesome, then nobody replies. There's no context. So once again, if we put that into the showroom floor, customer comes in, hey man, you know, I want that 2012 whatever, and he's all excited about it, and the sales guy's like, awesome, it's right there. Well, how the heck, like, how, I mean, where does the sale happen? I mean, there's no context. Social media is exactly the same.
I like that, I like that. Content is king, context is God, though, and I think, you know, one of the things I take away from what you said there is it doesn't have to be, you know, about the truck or about the SUV or about the car. You can engage with them on a different level.
Exactly. Don't, you know, out of 100%, only maybe 10% should actually be about your dealership and about your product line. 90% should literally be about socks, be about what you do for a living, be about your customer. Talk to your customer. Proven example, you know, had a conversation with a girl on Twitter. You know, we just, for weeks, you know, just having chat, hey, you know, it's cold outside, just everyday conversation. Then one of her friends said, you know, where's the best Ford dealership at the time in Edmonton? So she said, hey, check out those guys at Zender Ford. But she only thought to say that because we'd actually been having dialogue with her at the time. So she actually said, hey, you know, these guys are awesome. So most dealers might say, well, geez, 2-3 weeks, we're not getting anything out of this. Like, this is a waste of time. It's like, you know, this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. I mean, and it's here to stay. Whether you choose to get on now or later, you're gonna get on because this is where your customers are. So be patient with it.
It's a great point. I think, you know, this is here to stay. I think it's been proven that this is not, not a fad.
It's not a fad. It's not a fad.
Yeah, and I think I like what you said there at the end, especially, you know, whether you do it today or you do it tomorrow, you're going to do it eventually. So you might as well start now and get good at it quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, the biggest thing is have fun. And, you know, you see dealers doing all kinds of advertising. And I mean, one thing about me, and I want everybody to know this, is prior to being at the dealership when I worked inside of one, I had zero automotive experience. So the first thing I did have a marketing background, but I got in and said, the way we're marketing is archaic.
Yeah. Like
newspapers and stuff. And, you know, hey, if you're in a local area or a rural area, I mean, every place has its, you know, market. And I mean, I was located in Spruce Grove at the time when I was in the dealership, which is outside of Edmonton. The local community there reads their paper. So we want to have a presence there. However, you know, really assess if you're doing it just because that's the way you've always been doing it, or are you doing it because you just don't know how to tackle the new way of marketing?
Yeah, no, I think it's a great point. You know, how do you engage someone once they've interacted with you, and what your experiences with people were when it was a negative experience and how you might have turned that into a positive?
So days prior to social media and online and all that stuff, if somebody came in, whether they're going out for dinner, buying some socks, I'll bring up socks. We love socks, he loves socks. It's playful, it's fun, but whatever your purchase is, if it's a car, and you came in, you had the experience, and then you walked away and were completely not satisfied, what you would do is, most people are too embarrassed to really, you know, say, hey, you suck to your face. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, however, when they leave, oh, they'll start blogging, they'll start doing their thing. How cool is it though that instead of that person just going around now and telling like their friends, their family how bad you sucked, which means that you're probably not going to get their business, you can actually step in via online and actually say, you know, hey, what did we do wrong? You know, moderate the conversation. Show the customer that you care. Because if I'm on Facebook and say you got like thousands of fans and somebody puts, you know, right on your wall, you guys suck, you know, we came in and we felt like we were taken advantage of, whatever the context is, you know, now you can actually respond. Now, those thousands of people are seeing that response. People can always tell the difference between a chronic complainer. Yeah. Because if you show due diligence and say, hey, sorry for the situation, how can we rectify it? You've now showed that you care. You've now showed and took accountability, and now it's really on the customer to say, okay, well, here's what I'd like to do. But you've still showed that, you know, that degree of care. Prime example, Facebook, inside the dealership, we had an issue with somebody came in and said, hey, I feel like we weren't treated well because of the way we're dressed. Yeah. What a hot topic. Yeah. I mean, we hear that, like, you hear that a lot. You know, my husband and I came in, we just felt like, you know, we weren't treated well, and put that right on the Facebook. This was actually the third week I was there, and I'm like, oh, geez, this is not good, how to respond to that. So what I did is I said, okay, I forwarded her a link to our staff page. I said, please direct message me the person who made you feel this way. Yeah. Just imagine if you're a customer. The company sends you a link to their staff page. The first word that comes to mind is care. Transparency. Yeah. I mean, these guys aren't messing around. Yeah. Point the person out, and we'll deal with it. So sent the link, and then she said, well, this happened 2.5 years prior. So let's go back to this. So now we talk about, she was holding this grudge for 2.5 years. Yeah. So then the moment we get on Facebook, she says, I'm going to find you. Like, that's huge. So anyways, we're talking to her, apologize. I actually said, hey, you know what, lunch is on us. Try to do whatever we could to make amends. Somewhere in the conversation, she said, by the way, my husband's interested in F-150. Came in, bought the vehicle, and I pinned the amount of time. From the time she complained to the time the vehicle was bought was about 2.5 hours. So dealers, if you're scared about negativity, don't be. Just be confident, figure out what the problem is, and just have fun with it.
It sounds like, yeah, address it immediately.
Yes.
And deal with it. Don't hide from it.
Now, the one thing I like to say, because I mean, you know, dealers are all about the sales, is if you were a fan on Facebook seeing that whole interaction, do you not think that maybe somebody else would come in and buy just by the way you reacted to that situation?
It's a great point. It's a great point. And we've seen a number of examples of general managers owning up to reviews on Google Plus,
yep.
and eventually, you know, having that person take down that review and post a positive review about their experience at the dealership. And I mean, to me, there's not much more powerful than that kind of a recommendation in the social media world.
Huge. And I mean, no matter what industry you're in, I mean, especially automotive, we all know what some of the cliches are, used car salesmen.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, the automotive industry has been around for years and years and years, and you know, unfortunately we have some bad stuff, but I mean, if you look at the average dealer, there's a lot of great and positive things going on. We just don't really do a good job of telling that side of the business. Usually we're, you know, on troubleshooter or something.
Absolutely.
You know, like, and I mean, that's the way it goes, but be excited because you don't need TV to broadcast your story anymore. You have leverage. I mean, you talk about leverage. We are all on the same even playing field now. It's just who's telling the better story, using different platforms, and most of all, having fun and interacting with your past, present, and future customers.
Excellent, excellent. What about, you know, there's a lot of networks out there, a lot of social media sites. You know, obviously Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Google Places are kind of the big three that everybody talks about. But then, you know, we hear things like Pinterest or, you know, Vine with Twitter, Instagram. There's a number of other social media platforms. You know, which ones should I as a dealer be on? And when do I know that these new social media platforms, you know, are ready enough or mature enough for me to get on? I mean, Pinterest had huge growth right out of the gates, but some of the other ones haven't. I mean, where do you draw that line?
Well, I kind of call like Instagram and Pinterest like boutique platforms.
Okay.
Kind of those ones that when you're kind of got the big three, I mean, Google Plus, you know, would be number 4 on my list. It's great, SEO, all that stuff, but you know, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I mean, those are, I mean, you got your highest influx in the last 3 months on Facebook was over the age of 55. So people saying, hey, no, this is just for young people, those days are over.
Absolutely.
Kids, you know, parents are on there stalking their kids. I mean, whatever, the people are online and they're going on it in droves. Actually, a friend of mine a couple weeks ago said, you know, I went to call home, you know, his parents live in a different province, and he's like, you know, Mom, you don't call me anymore. His mom says, well, I see everything on Facebook. So, you know, I mean, that's where people are, and I think that you should start out with Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Video, in my opinion, if you really want to tell a story, there's no, you know, it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's authentic, it's right there. There was a saying I read the other day, and it says, you know, don't let perfection hinder you. Intent is king, which means that people say, well, geez, what if for my YouTube video or it's squabbly all over, like, where do we start? So let's not start at all.
Absolutely.
Wrong mentality. Just start. I mean, you know, some of my stuff, it's horrible. Still to this day, you know, my YouTube videos, like, I'm trying, but you know, you're putting in the effort. And we all know that, you know, it's like a craft. I mean, you'll get better and better and better, but you're still making that intent. So start with, you know, Twitter, Facebook, you know, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Pinterest is huge, 90% female, almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you got, you know, a certain product or deal that's catered to females, I mean, they're pinning, they're on their boards. You can find recipes, everything on Pinterest. Instagram, people love photos.
100%.
Photo junkie. It's huge. You got zillions of people on Instagram. We're marketing cars. It's not like we're marketing something boring.
No.
Like, and I think a lot of dealers forget that. We're marketing cars. Like, this is fun. First of all, it's the second largest purchase a human being will ever make. You know, and I mean, the last point on that is it's cars. The engineering, the sleekness of it, the way it's built, the way it's designed. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with these things. And, you know, a lot of dealers, they're very stringent. Have some fun with it, you know? Build value, do car seat clinics, you know, wherever your target area is, build value with these cars, get into the community. Because once you get into the community, it's a great way of converting online, offline, and taking offline, online. Because now, you know, if I was to meet Duncan on Twitter, and then we meet in person, I guarantee our relationship is much more, you know, much more impacted because we've actually met in person. It's almost like speed dating.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, by the time you meet somebody, it's like, oh, hey man, I see your LinkedIn, so you're doing this, or hey, you know, you got your little avatar there. Are you really bald in real life? Yeah, I mean, you know, but you know a lot about somebody prior to ever meeting them. So almost when you meet them, it's like you kind of know them, which if we talk about sales, I mean, that's such a warm sale.
Absolutely.
You know, that huge mystique is now gone, and you can actually say, hey man, like, what's up?
For
nice
sure.
and casual.
I really like that, and I like what you said earlier about intent is king. And you know, sometimes I think I look at perfection as the enemy of good, and I think, you know, just start. You're gonna make some mistakes, but you know, fail faster so that you can learn from these mistakes and get better quickly. I guess you know, we kind of touched upon earlier who should be doing this at the dealership level, right?
Yep.
You don't want to just pile it onto the sales manager. They have enough responsibilities.
Yep.
You know, maybe it's something you don't just give to the receptionist, or you know, you give to the youngest person you've hired. You know, you want to give it to someone who wants to do it. But I guess the second part of this question, you know, should people be paying for this service? Should they be doing it in dealership? What kind of amount of money should they be dedicating to it? What are your thoughts on that?
The first step I always say is just assess where you're at. You know, put all your marketing and your advertising efforts just on a table, and you know, meet with management, whatever you got to do, and just figure out where you're at. If you're really heavy into paper, or you're really heavy into TV, or you're really heavy into radio, cool, just figure out where you're at. Then choose to say, we do understand we need to have digital into our marketing game. Once you decide that, if there is somebody in the dealership currently that, you know, very tech savvy, digital, kind of a creative person, but remember, this person is now speaking on behalf of your dealership, on behalf of your brand, on behalf of your culture. They need to understand what the heck's going on behind closed doors. If you have somebody on staff already and they're not too sure, but they have that effort, maybe look at some training. Have somebody come in, you know, use portals. I mean, that's kind of what I did at Zender Ford. You know, I was looking on YouTube, I was looking on Google, I was grasping any kind of educational tools possible out there. Number two is, if you decide to hire somebody to do your social media, a lot of people say, well, how the heck could they get a good sense of culture inside the dealership if they're not inside? I completely disagree, because somebody who's passionate about storytelling and marketing will really take the time to understand what you as a dealership really want to push out there as far as your message, as far as your branding, and do the due diligence to make that happen. But you know, choose wisely. The one thing I always say is, if you got one guy doing this avenue of marketing and another company doing that avenue of marketing, be careful, because now we have mixed message. So if you're gonna have, say, 2, 3, 4, 5 vendors, cool, but they all need to understand, hey, I'm dealer X, and I want my voice to be like this through their channel, through this channel, through that channel. Honestly, if they don't want to play ball nicely, rearrange, because you need that consistency. And somebody, I think, as a vendor, has to respect your brand and has to respect the message that you want to push out. And you know, that's kind of where I would start. And I mean, once you get started in that, I'm sure you'll have a few different options.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we covered a lot of questions today about, you know, why social media, what's the ROI, how do I measure it, how do I do certain things, how often should I do certain things. You know, maybe to wrap it up, let's get the kind of the Ryan Holtz hot tip. So I'm just assume I'm a car dealer. I've started down this path. I have a Facebook page. I have a Twitter account. You know, I'm posting a little bit, maybe not as consistent as I want to be, but I'm the intent's there, and I'm trying. What to you is, you know, the next thing they should be doing, or what's the next big thing even in 2014 from a social media perspective that dealers really want to watch out for, be prepared for, and start getting involved with?
I think number one is just do it. Start doing it. I see, and I get so many messages and emails and all that, but a lot of dealers out there will say, hey, I hired somebody. And then what happens is they tell the person 2 weeks later, how come we're not selling cars off it? I mean, if you're gonna hire somebody to do your social media, give them a shot to actually do it. And like I said, this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. And what I hear is a lot of upper management maybe not supporting the social media, which means that I'm a firm believer that everything has to start from the top and, you know, kind of be put through the dealer culture throughout and really be supported. I think, you know, the dealers that are doing it really good are having just tons of fun with it. What's new in social media? What's the next big thing? Honestly, it's not. It's really just creating great content, having awesome context, having fun with it, using it as a portal. I mean, you got restaurants now, you can tweet to them for reservations. I mean, use this technology and be innovative. I personally think the automotive industry in lots of ways is archaic. And it's great to see, you know, companies like Strathcom, you know, tons of guys that are starting to come in and say, hey, you know, let's make this industry the industry that it needs to be. I mean, we're not selling $5 items. I mean, you know, you could buy a car as much as you want to spend, but you know, the average consumer is spending what, 40 grand?
Yeah.
You know, on an average purchase. I mean, you know, and they're carrying it for 5 years, and then, you know, if I'm a used car salesman, I want them to come trade it back in, you know, give them their appraisal. I mean, we know how it goes, but have fun with your marketing. Talk about what are we doing right now, assess and say we need to do digital, and let's find either somebody that we're going to hire on staff and give training to, or hire somebody outside that's going to make sure we're consistent. A part of my weekly regimen is I just look at dealers on social media, I look at their websites, and I see what's the conversation going on. 95% of dealers are just, you know, 0.9% financing, 2 pay stubs are guaranteed, like the most generic stuff.
What's the sale this week? Yeah.
The positive in that is at least they're on and they're making an effort. They got the intent. So the other ones usually are, oh, hi, how's it going? And then there's no content for 5 days. I mean, if anybody knows when somebody's car shopping, I mean, somebody goes to consumer 5 days, I mean, they've already been in their vehicle, they're traveling to Banff, they're doing the selfies on Facebook with their vehicle. I mean, they're having a ton of fun in 5 days. If you're responding to that, like, it's gone, right? So, I mean, my advice is just, you know, assess it, understand that you need it. Don't look at it as a bad thing. It's just change and have fun with it.
Excellent, excellent. What, I guess, you know, to kind of finalize it, is there a dealer out there in your mind that is really kind of killing it, and whether it's US or Canada, but who's really kind of killing it from a social media perspective, or who's someone that you look to and you say, oh man, that dealer, they get it, they're doing a good job of it?
I'm not pumping my own tires. When I was at Zender Ford, I mean, I loved what we did there. We did contests. I mean, some of the events we had, I mean, people were crying literally. We used that portal really to tell a story. There's another company, I think they're in the States, it's called Lebanon Ford. They are some cool guys there. They put a lot of effort into their storytelling. If you go to their Facebook or Twitter, at first glance, you're not like wowed, but if you actually take the time to explore it, they do some pretty cool things. And they really care. Like, you can tell they're doing funky things. And I mean, I find it valuable as a customer that's not even in the market for a car. Just looking at some of the things and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that. And if you can use your website and your Twitter and your Facebook and your Google Plus and all those and your YouTube to literally create something that would help a potential customer, chances are you might get considered when he's in the market or if he knows a friend.
Absolutely. Okay, excellent, excellent. I think, you know, the big thing, guys, with social media is it is not too late to still be early. You know, you can still get in and be a leader in the social media arena in the Canadian automotive space. Thanks so much for coming out, Ryan.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. If people want to get a hold of you, it's info@ryanholtz.ca.
Yeah, at RyanHoltz1 on Twitter, LinkedIn, the whole shabam.
Okay, excellent. And one of, you know, Ryan's bread and butter, obviously he can help you in dealership if you have questions. Please reach out to him or us at Strathcom, and we're happy to get you in contact with him or answer your questions. Please fire us an email, give us a shout, and we'd be happy to help.